Hello and welcome. This is Best Foot Forward Shoes, the podcast presented to you by the Kingsland Shoe Project. And this is episode number 65. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're joining us on the audio platforms we have, which is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all of those good places. Thank you so much for checking us out for another week. Thank you to everyone for watching our previous episode with Mr. Timothy Lee. And today we have a very, very cool guest. He is a cool guy, man, and I am not the only one saying that. This is Mr. James Harvey. He's been on the podcast a couple of times before. He is from the UK. He's from London. We're going to chat about some of the events that have been recently happening in London, but mainly just chat it up. I love talking to James about sneakers. He has a lot of opinions. He has a lot of context. He has a lot of knowledge about sneakers. How are you doing, mate? I know the time difference is pretty wild for us, especially with you being in the UK right now, but thank you so much for joining me for another episode. How are you doing?
Nah, it's good, man. As I said, for me, I enjoy it as like chewing it up. I think a lot of the conversation around sneakers is quite tense. So it's nice to have just like a peaceful conversation, throw some opinions out there, cause some controversy, and then walk away and let them discuss it in the comments. Like that's my job.
There's certainly been some comments from people around the sneaker scene that we may talk about a little bit further down the line in this podcast. But just overall, we haven't spoken to you this year. How has your year been so far? I know you're settling through your winter, you're getting into spring, getting through your year. How has it all been so far for you?
This has been the busiest year I've ever had. So obviously got Seoul was March. So that was like the first 3 months was just all taken up by that. I opened up Urban Syndicate Studios, so that's been like full on. So we've got G-Shock as a client, and we're shooting 2 other brands currently that we have on the short-term retainer, and then just like individual clients and individual projects on top of that. So like that's actually taken up way more of my time than I ever anticipated. Like it takes up weeks and weeks of just time and effort for one day of actual work, which again, you have to. Almost like a sniper, you have to prep the shot, and then everything is just done in one day, and then it's out the other end. Which, again, that's been really exciting to start building a team around that. So that's been really cool. And then even on top of that, like I've been working consulting for a couple of brands and just doing a few bits on the side. So,
and
keeping myself super busy.
And if people didn't know, sorry for interrupting you. If people didn't know, James is a part and owner and founder of the Urban Syndicate. He, not only does his own creative work, but posts on Instagram all the time. And of course, as always, you can see his Instagram down in the description as well. So you can go and check out all of his work. You're doing some awesome stuff. You did some great interviews this year. You went to Paris Fashion Week since we last spoke. You were in France.
That was in January, man.
Like that feels like a
so
long time ago. I mean, since that time, we've had a baby. So, I mean, life has just been flipped upside down. So it feels like this year has, kind of slowed down, to be honest. When you do have a kid, every day feels very slow. But then you look up and blink and he's like, 2 months old now. So it's like it goes very, very quick in the long term, but the days are like pretty long. The sleep is not great. People do often ask about that, and it's like you kind of get used to it, but I think it might catch up eventually. But yeah, it's been okay. How was that Got Soul event? That was one thing that we did want to chat about. Sorry, you.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the baby, man. Because I will say that again, that's one hell of a life update when it comes down to the family. In the first one, I can only imagine how that's shaken up your entire flow. Especially when running all these podcasts and having a full-time job and everything else, man. Like, that's a lot to learn.
It's definitely been a lot, but again, we love doing it for the culture. We love doing it, just chatting about sneakers. It's more of a creative outlet. So yeah, thank you, and it's been fun. And I know I do post a little bit about it on Instagram. Send you some photos and stuff, and I think that
I get the behind the scenes stuff. So that's the best bit.
Well, that's kind of the fine line to I guess look how the sausage is made. Some people have told me don't post your kid's face, especially with like AI being such a big thing these days, and people can almost generate what your kid's going to look like from even an early age. And so I'm not trying to post that all the time. I think we did one early when he was very, very young, but since then I haven't really posted on like a public forum or anything like that. Not send it to anyone who I don't trust, if you know what I mean.
It's a difficult one. I don't even know how I deal with it. It's not something that I've really been conscious of, but I definitely think privacy, edging on the side of security and privacy is probably the best fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think so too. But man, I do want to ask you about that Got Soul event. That was one that I did see a little bit in London. We had people who are also friends of the podcast, Hass HB Kicks on Instagram, Erkin Hassan. Those guys were also there. Mr. Prozac, who once again has gotten hacked and then got his account back. So if you're a fan of Prozac from the channel, don't buy any Bitcoin from him, so he gets hacked every so often. But the Got Soul event was happening in London. You had a hand in kind of organizing, having some of the event going on. You can see some images on the screen here. A bunch of shoes being sold. It was a nice. It looked like it was evening. Did it go throughout the day? Give us a little bit of a rundown as to kind of from the start what the show and the event was all about.
So I joined Got Soul in January. So the event was in March, and I started in January. So we really only had like an 8-week window where I was like fully involved with and immersed in the Got Soul universe. Obviously, through that time, they'd been working on it for 2 years, like in the background on top of everything else they were doing. It kind of got to the point where like I just kind of added the UK sprinkle on top. I was adding the garnish, inviting the right people for the guest list, kind of bringing in a couple of sponsors. We actually were working with Sneakerness, who I've worked with previously, so they were on the back end as well. And we were just, basically, Got Soul is a bit of a plug and play kind of operation. They've done so many events. I think this was like the 60th or 70th that they've ever done.
Yeah.
The first one in London. But they just send over a crate of boxes from one location to the next location and basically set up on site. So it was, my job was more curating that London experience, making sure that the right guests were there, making sure that the guest list was full, making sure that we had some special moments like the Lorenzo thing. And I just kind of supported and helped with the sponsorships and just made sure that it went off without a hitch. Brought in a load of volunteers to help with the setup and the breakdown. Worked with sorting out which vendors attended because, again, like they had, I don't think I can give the exact number, but they were like triple subscribed with the amount of vendors for the location. So like, even that, like making sure that there was a nice selection of who was there. Like my job was just kind of curating on top of what Got Soul have already built because like these guys are a beast. Like you can only imagine the amount of work that's gone to kind of creating the templates where you plug and play. You can just go to a location like, we already have everything set up. Frank's on retainer. They even brought over some brands from America who they work with. So like they knew that like you were able to get sample OVO 4s, which is a super grail of mine. Like that's like one of my top sneakers ever. They had like CPFM dunks. They had all these PEs and samples I've never seen before. The staple dunks, which the controversial ones. Again, like, and you just got to see a real pair in hand that, again, it's just kind of a crazy way that they can bring in that kind of side of it, and they have these people who they can bring over. My involvement, it was super heavily involved, and obviously, like, it takes a lot of time to kind of have these relationships, introduce them to all these UK brands, and I was the facilitator between the two of, like, those guys and who I work with on my side in the UK. But, like, again, the actual, like, event and kind of curating the experience is definitely down to just them. Jonathan especially, he's just an absolute beast when it comes to this stuff. Like, he has the templates, he knows what he's doing, and they just hit the ground every time. And it was by far the best event that's been in the UK for the past 5-10 years easily. And obviously, like, from there, we're going to be growing it, and we have a lot of ideas and a lot of brands that, because I came in so last minute, we weren't able to kind of activate on and kind of engage with. But now that we have some time, now we're going to reopen those conversations. And obviously, for the next one, it's only going to be bigger and better than what we've already done. So
and it seemed like it was pretty packed. Would you say that you probably could have gone to a bigger venue? Like, if you knew that it was going to be so busy, was there talks of maybe taking it to a bigger place?
So the venue was already decided before I got into the conversation. So like that was almost like predetermined. I will say that like we overcapacity the venue, but it was like the right level of overcapacity. Like we increased the ticket prices, so the barrier to entry was higher. So like if you bought a ticket to go to the event, you actually had to like buy a shoe to almost like offset the ticket cost to make it worth going. So the vendors who attended were really happy because they got to sell loads of shoes. Like a lot of these vendors sold like a good quantity of shoes. And then even on our side, like it was packed, but not too packed. Like you didn't want there to be any more else in there. And like, I'll be honest, like it was full, but it was a good level of full. So there will be a bigger venue next time. And like, there's a lot of things that obviously we're going to develop and adapt. But with what we had and kind of the conversations we've been having, I don't think we could have done a better job for like, it hit all the boxes of everything that we wanted. So
okay. No, nice. And
I say we, Jonathan.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
Jonathan.
yeah. Oh, I mean, credit where credit's due. I'm sure you did like a lot of work, and I think that it's always hard to pull off an event like that. Like a lot of people, you know, the expression "a duck floating on top of the water." Like you're supposed to be nice and calm, and then underneath you're furiously paddling away. I'm sure that's exactly what it's like with
So
those events.
even in the last 2 days, so I was involved in the pattern drop for the
Mm-hmm.
Power Air Max One Hyper Crimson.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the install the install launch in the morning. So that was on the Saturday. So the Friday. Fuck, the dates and times all linked into one. It was on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So I went to the launch on the Saturday, and then from there I went straight to assembly at 1 p.m. and we were there probably from 1 till sometime late in the afternoon. Then I had a meeting that night. Didn't get home till like 11, 12 p.m. And then I was up at 4 to get to the venue for 6 to
Mm-hmm.
then start setup. And we were there from like 6 till about 8, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine,
Yeah.
2 full days of just like back-to-back sneakers, which
Mm-hmm.
again, that's my dream, to always be in these positions, to work with these brands and to do all this stuff. But I think a lot of people, like, you attend an event at like 12 o'clock and you haven't seen the 6 hours of work beforehand.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I was on the door shaking hands with people and I was done. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was starving, needed coffee. Like, the fact that these guys do this like routinely, I only did it for 1 day and it was absolutely backbreaking.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's like they're like trained professionals, and you kind of coming in not having that many events under your belt. I mean, you're sure you've been to lots of sneaker events, but yeah, being a part of the organizing, it's kind of a different beast. Seeing how everything is done, you know what I mean?
I've helped with a couple of events. Like, we were involved with Sneakerness Budapest, and then
Yeah.
we actually were lining up our own Sneakerness, which eventually ended up getting rolled back, and like that's just been a really complicated endeavor. So it was actually really nice to just get something over the line for the people. Like, again, there's a lot of conversations that we've had that are, like, where I wanted to take Got Soul, and like I have a load of ideas of what like my dream event would be like in London, and obviously they've listened to those, and we're able to kind of facilitate some of the stuff going forward.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see how this matures, and obviously in time, kind of see how Got Soul like develops a London identity on top of like everything else it's got going on.
And you mentioned real quick, you kind of mentioned in passing the Lorenzo thing. Like, so for context of anyone who doesn't know, Lorenzo OG is an artist that is obviously based in the UK and has done a lot of different drops. He basically customizes shoes in his own sort of way, and he does New Balance shoes. He's done Air Max shoes, and this time he kind of came to the event with a express, I guess, showing off a shoe that is going to be releasing on March 28th, which is a mostly red based, I think it's like the infrared based
It's an
Air
MX
Max
95. I think it's chili red.
Yeah,
don't quote me on
it has a red like air bubble. It has a red tick, like all of those sort of things. And then he's kind of done some custom dyes, and there's probably going to be over about 200 pairs selling for £110. So 110s for 110.
110 pairs for 110.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's a little bit more limited, but there are, of course, going to be a lot of people wanting to pick up that pair. And what was that, I guess, moment in the Got Soul event when he kind of turned up and showed and kind of gave away a pair?
So what happened was he turned up in his car, which has now become a bit of an icon.
Yeah.
I've seen it in Paris. I've seen it in London now. Like, it seems to be getting around. I think it's a bit of a moment turning up in the Lorenzo G car. Obviously gets out, he has his chocolate bars, and then I don't know if you remember the MX95 event.
Yeah.
So for the MX95 event, it was like a year or two now. They had chocolate bars where you had to go get a chocolate bar, and when you open the bar, you get a golden ticket, and inside the golden ticket it says whether you win or lose, and what your number is in the queue. Basically, it was the same idea as that. So he gave out a ton of chocolate bars, which had the information for the event on, which was Block P in Liverpool. Obviously, it's on the 28th. Hopefully, I'm going to be there. My parents, I was born just next door to Liverpool. I'm almost a Scouse. So my parents are both Scouse.
Okay.
So like I might go home and go see the parents.
Yeah.
And then go to Lorenzo G drop. We are gonna see.
Yeah.
But like again, he kind of announced the fact that he's gonna be dropping the shoe, and then gave an exclusive moment to Got Soul and the Got Soul attendees to actually get the shoe. So gave out all the chocolate bars, and if you got the golden ticket, you actually won an early pair of the shoes, which I think was just a really cool moment for everyone.
Yeah.
Obviously, Got Soul kind of has these things in America quite heavily where they're giving away these crazy things. Like, we even gave away a signed pair of Cortez 95s when we were at the event. But like, yeah, this is just kind of like taking it to that next level, bringing in Lorenzo, and then kind of pre-marketing for his event that he's got going on,
Yeah.
which is going to be on the 28th, which I'm excited for, man. I think everything Lorenzo touches turns to gold. His ability to market is so good, and it was just really kind of be involved in that in like a tangential way.
Yeah, nice. So I think that it's a shoe that I don't think I'd ever really be able to get, not only because I'm not in the UK, and I know you probably could find a way to get them, but just the cost of some of them. Like I love the 860 V2 that he did, but
I got them upstairs somewhere.
Yeah, you have a pair, of course you do, and I don't I don't really have a chance of getting them because they're so kind of limited, exclusive. They weren't an official collab, but they had a decent rollout, and it was a pair that I was really excited to see, but I probably won't ever own a pair. Maybe that might change. Who knows? I might actually luck out and find a pair. But man, it looked like a fun event, and I'm glad that you kind of thought it was successful. Everyone else had fun. I suppose there's always a bit of risk with those events. Some things don't go right. There could be health and safety stuff. But I'm glad that everything went well for you.
The big shout out to be to the team because, like, again, as I said, I had a couple of friends help, and like we obviously made it happen, and it was a massive success. But like the way that they operate, the ability for them to just kind of plug and play and just get things, they just made things happen that needed to happen when it needed to happen.
Yeah,
like it sounds crazy, but like they're constantly putting out these little fires because they've done it so much, they just know what to do. And I think that again, like that made it really, it made it so much easier having to do something ourselves. Like if I was to ever do my own, I would have to manage all these little like things you don't anticipate coming up until you've done it, and they've done it so much now that they just know what to do.
It's definitely a skill, and hats off to anyone who has that logistical kind of brain to be able to sort out those things, just be someone who fixes problems. But man, we're going to move on a little bit to chat about some pickups. So you've got a fair few. I know that you've been busy with the pickups. I'm just going to start off just real quick with my main one, which is the Fragment Jordan 1 with Union, the Sport Royal pair with the gold laces, which I popped in there almost instantly. I kind of, as soon as I saw them with the gold laces, I was like, yeah, there's no other choice for me. I don't think I'll ever take them out, to be honest. It just
I'm very jealous.
Pops so much. I love the kind of metallic navy on the top and the royal on the bottom, the Fragment logo. It's like, yeah, it's everything that you kind of want, and they're very comfortable too. I've worn them once now for almost a full day, and very comfortable. Almost pre-worn in with the leather, like very good quality leather. So yeah, really happy with these. There was obviously two other pairs, the Varsity Red and the black and white pair. So people have been getting pairs. There's been drops, probably less limited than people thought in terms of the Varsity Red pair. But yeah, I'm very happy to have this pair. And what did you think about that entire drop, just from an overall sense?
So I have the original 2014 Black Toe, which I've worn multiple times. Even though people think because the quality is so good and they haven't creased, everyone thought I hadn't worn them, but I actually have worn them quite a few times. They're a beautiful shoe, and I had to get the Varsity Red pair to kind of like continue the legacy. Fragment's an interesting one for me because like I love Hiroshi and I love the blue, and I like when I first got into sneakers, Fragment was genuinely one of my favorite brands ever. I think that I really appreciated I thought I appreciated the craftsmanship, the kind of level of detail. I think at this point now, with the release of the Mine 2, and then obviously we just saw the Timberland they're doing, I'm so fragmented out, liquid. I'm at the point now where Hiroshi needs to take some time away. They did the Book 2 release for All-Star Weekend. The more I research Fragment, the more I research that it's kind of smoke and mirrors. Like, there's a ton of releases that came out in the 2010s. There was like the CPAC Air Trainers, the Court Forces, the Footscapes, the Court Lows, the Tennis Classics, like loads of shoes that just didn't sell out. And like these are all in the 2010s, between like 2010 and 2020. Well, like again, Fragment was touching pairs and like creating these moments. And I don't know if you remember the Dunk Pack that they did, where they had like the Tokyos and the Londons. Like they were cool, but like my perception of Fragment was always through like the best and the hitters. But when you actually look back, there's a lot of Fragment stuff that just hasn't hit that hard. And I think that we're getting to the point again, like we're just hitting saturation on the Fragment thing. Like they're not doing anything too creative. They're not breaking boundaries. They're not pushing far enough for me to be like, whoa, that's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, it was cool. And I needed the Varsity Maize, Varsity Red, the one with the red cut. Yeah. I needed that kind of for the collection, but I'm also not like blown away as much as I was then maybe like 2-3 years ago when Fragment felt like it was something super, super special.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and I guess we kind of skipped a little bit forward. I was going to talk about Fragment a bit, but I guess there's no time like the present to chat about them now. Obviously, they've done their own thing with this. Kind of the Sport Royal is the natural kind of playground to add the Fragment blue. Like this may be a different, slightly different shade than the original OG of the Royal colorway of the Jordan 1, but it obviously lends itself to the Fragment nature of it. This one was actually designed by Chris Gibbs, so like he had his own kind of personal touch, and this pair only got sold. Black owned businesses were the ones that were able to sell them, so it was a little bit more exclusive. The white and black one was only for, I believe, the Tokyo store. So there was like very limited, and then the Varsity Red, obviously, as you've seen, probably has a ton of different releases with all different boutiques. So I guess there was
all Tier Zero's got them.
Yeah, so it was all like lots of different stores, and obviously here in Australia, that was nice to see a couple of releases because sometimes we don't get everything. Sometimes we're a little bit left out, but I was glad to see that a lot of people who wanted pairs of those got them. And I guess speaking a little bit more about, Fragment in a sense, I've just put up the images of the Nike Mind 2. Obviously, these are coming, I think, in a couple of days actually. So when you're listening to this, it will be very soon. This grey pair, and then they've also got the Mind 1 in this very kind of plain black with the Fragment blue pods on the bottom. I don't really have a huge opinion about the Mind series. I don't think it really works in terms of mind muscle connection, that sort of thing. I'm not really buying that, but these do look clean. What do you think about their, oversaturation? You spoke about it a little bit, but is there any sort of people getting fatigue about it?
So I think the problem is that this is actually kind of relevant to the upcoming release. I've just blended in all your different segments into one. But like since the loss of Virgil and obviously like him kind of coming back through VAA, I do feel like we've just been in this phase where like Nike's been looking for that like headline collaborator. It was Travis Scott. Travis Scott hit oversaturation maybe 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
With all his new silhouettes. Then they've kind of tapped into Fragment, and Fragment worked with Travis, and he's worked with a couple of the collaborators, and now he's working with Union. And like, again, like we were kind of seeing Fragment come through, but like I don't think Fragment is creative enough to really create this like Fragment universe. Like they only have to color blue. I think we're at the stage where it's like there is nothing super exciting from Nike, and that's really allowing the other brands to kind of step up with like. Again, all my recent pickups aren't from Nike apart from the Fragments. So, like, again, it's kind of at this position where Nike's downfall is that inability to prepare for the long term, for like the 2-3 years down the line. And I've had conversations with people, I've heard things are moving forward, but it is giving us a really nice space to allow other brands some breathing room to really like flex their muscles and kind of get the love that they deserve. So,
yeah. And you did mention the release last year of the, re-release of a Travis Fragment collaboration. That one kind of was a bit of a joke, in my opinion, not having a worldwide release. Not even Tier 0 stores got them. It was like a Travis Scott website exclusive and only for the US. So that was almost like a non-event for people. It kind of had a huge hype and build-up. And then all of a sudden, nothing really came from it. It was very different to the original one, which, obviously was a little bit more accessible for people. I've seen some people
a lot of backdoors there, man.
Yeah,
again,
for sure.
Like between Travis's staff and a lot of other stuff. I've heard some of it, and I'm privy to some of the conversations like that. I've seen screenshots and conversations around it. I just think again, like you almost need the democratization of releasing across a load of stores to get pairs into people's hands, because you need to give people the option to enter multiple places to kind of win things.
Yeah.
And when you limit to one place, they're obviously backdooring pairs early. There was like that controversy around like someone in Travis's team sold fake pairs and a lot of other stuff. Like again, that almost like destroys the illusion of Fragment for this release and others along it as well, because like they're associated with the drama and the controversy. So it's a cascading effect. Like it's one of these things where Nike can't catch a break, and through that, like other brands and other associated kind of collaborators are also taking flack too.
Yeah, and they obviously did work also with Devin Booker on his shoe. I've kind of spoken on this podcast a little bit about Devin Booker and his shoe line, and how I think it's probably one of the worst shoe lines that I've seen in the last few years from a signature athlete. Like not so much the colorways, just the way they release them and showing off all these colorways. I just don't like it.
I love the book one, and I think it's a good silhouette that originally I was quite excited for, and I hit saturation in like a month because I just seen
Yeah.
so many. And like again, even on our side, like we get press releases through sometimes, and
Mm.
like they would be like, he wears this shoe on the court, and then he wears this shoe, and I was like, you don't know which ones are releasing, you don't know which ones aren't
Yeah.
releasing, and then they'd be like throwing out these colorways that was super similar.
Mm.
Or like reiterations of reiterations and
Yeah.
like and then all the good stuff that people were genuinely excited for just never actually hit the market. And I just think like it was just so convoluted and like confusing for us as a publication that like how is a consumer meant to get
Yeah.
like momentum when they see something they love and they
Yeah.
can't get it, and the stuff that they don't like is the stuff that you're feeding them. Like I just think you almost need to have the market should be like super exclusive PE that is like crazy, and then you have like a dress down that releases to the public, and
Yeah.
then you should have had a funnel where like almost you have the hype and you create these moments, and then it launches into release. And maybe this is the way they planned it. It never worked out that way, but I do think the book one, like everybody I know was super excited at the beginning, and by the end of it, hated the shoe.
Yeah, that's pretty universal. And you think of other signature athletes like Anthony Edwards, kind of he has released a lot of colorways of like the AE2, but I feel like it's a little bit more streamlined in terms of he'll wear a shoe on the court and then it'll, release. Like he wore like the Hellstar collaboration on the court for the All-Star weekend, and then it kind of released that same weekend. So you can see the streamline and the pipeline kind of coming through. Whereas like you said with the book one, it just was bam, bam, bam. Here you go, here you go, here you go. Like it was a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, and again, if I'm confused, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, I live this industry, so like if I'm confused about what's going on, then like the average consumer is going to be lost.
Yeah,
because like this is my full-time job, and I can't keep up with everything that's going on with the book.
There will often be people who will ask me, say on Instagram, they'll say like, what's the best pages to look and watch for releases, and I kind of not only show them your website but also like specifics, like some New Balance only pages that just share stuff about New Balance, stuff about ASICs, like those kind of very specific ones, and they post every day 5 times a day, and so people get just lost.
I don't know if you want to kind of go down this route. I don't know if you saw that Soul Retriever got sued.
I did. Yeah.
So in January, while I was in Paris, I got a tap on the shoulder. I got a bit of a heads up by somebody who basically told me to like stop focusing on like breaking news and like kind of going down this route of like trying to be first, and to kind of go down the route of like moving the needle and moving the culture and focusing on doing things that are genuinely like consequential and important long term.
Yeah.
And like this was a conversation. I said I won't name their name, but like they kind of gave me a heads up that like, I think the industry is going to be changing this year. There's a lot of other things that are moving behind the scenes. Obviously, I'm not privy to.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of stuff in Paris. There's a lot of decks and spreadsheets and stuff that you get access to, or you're in rooms with people who just tell you things. So there's a lot of confidential information that you're given that is almost like, if you keep it secret, you'll in 6 months' time when you do the next Paris Fashion Week, you're obviously going to know. And if it comes out, they obviously know that it's through you, and then you're not going to get the information anymore. Yeah. So like I was giving a heads up, and like that's kind of why our pages changed a lot. Where Urban Syndicate as a page now, like that's why we opened the studio. We gone down the production route, and it's a lot of the reason why like I don't post as heavily, and we're not focused on trying to like be the first. I got a cease and desist from Adidas 6 months to a year ago.
Yeah.
And again, like it was not my fault. I posted information that was like in the public domain, as in like it was being posted by other pages, but it wasn't like from an official channel. So that's why even on our side, like we're not the first to post the information. We usually focus on like editorial, adding to the conversation, giving our opinions, like going down that route, and less on the being the first to break the news and to talk about certain colorways. Because like again, you can access a lot of the stuff on the Nike back end, and I have a lot of relationships with people in the brands now who like just tell me random stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just really conscious of the fact that like for me, I want to maintain those relationships, and our avenue is like kind of pivoted away from that. And I just wanted to like kind of address that as a thing, because people have commented on the fact that like we're kind of slower to the news than everyone else, but that's now almost a conscious decision.
And for anyone who, I guess, doesn't have the context, Soul Retriever is a sneaker publication, and they basically have been sued by Adidas for extortion. And they've basically, a couple of their employees at Soul Retriever were basically blackmailing kind of in a roundabout way Adidas for information and basically have been sued by Adidas for that. I will link an article that you can read a lot more detail in my description as well, so you can go and check that one out. But it does seem like it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's probably a lot more to come out about this.
I'd like to say allegedly, because I don't know if, obviously, like, it's one against the other right now, and I do think that a lot more stuff's going to come out, because, as I said, like, we were given a heads up about this in January, that, like, the industry's changing was the line I got. Like, there's going to be a lot of conversations around this, so I don't know if this is the first of many to come, or if this is just a case of, like, yo, this is the big kind of, like, hit, and if this wins, then obviously they can maybe chase some of the other people.
Yeah.
But I know there's been a lot of stuff that's going on around sneakers, where people are getting, even down to the leak we had with Nike, where all those files are released for the 2026, 2027 stuff. Like, they got hacked, and we've seen a load of stuff for the World Cup and a lot of other stuff. So, again, I do think that this is possibly a momentous moment, like, just because it kind of will create a precedent. But again, I'm reacting preemptively, and it's a lot of the reasons why. Again, we're taking flack for it, because a lot of people want us to be like, yo, this shoe's just announced, and oh my, we got a leak from this factory, and yo, I get DMs all the time like, yo, I've got this exclusive drop for you, and like, if you pay money, you can have access to this information.
Yeah, right.
Like, I get that quite often, actually, where like someone will have something, they're like, yo, whoever was willing to pay the highest just gets the info, because like, you'll be the first to post it. But I also think, like, it's just a really conscious decision to, like, almost like, we want to work with the brands, and we want to add to the story and to be part of the conversation and to create moments that uplift, like, the UK and especially London. Like, my goal is to really put London back on the map compared to where it was. Like, even 10 years ago, London was the place to be, and we have kind of lost a bit of that. So, like, that's where my energy is going, and I'm not as keen to be sued as maybe some of the other publications.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, it's now time for our Fresh Flow release of the week, brought to you by the Kingsland Shoe Project. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring this episode number 65 of the podcast. We're very appreciative. Today we are talking about the Jordan 14 in the black and university blue colorway. Now, these are releasing on March the 21st on Australian sneakers website, nike.com.au, $270 Australian. They'll be available. They'll also be available on the Subtype website as well. So 270 Australian is roughly around about 180 US pounds. In the UK, probably around about, I'd say, 150 pounds. So you're looking at a pretty hefty price, but for a pretty premium product. This is obviously a Jordan 14 has not been hugely in the news lately. There's been some great colorways, but I am interested to see what James thinks about this one.
Yeah, so the Jordan 14 is an interesting one, because it's probably one of my favorite Jordan silhouettes that doesn't get a lot of love. Like, I'm a big fan of the colorway. Obviously, the materials are great on it. I haven't seen them yet, but the official images look great.
Yeah.
Is it a need in this climate? I don't really know if that's I don't know if it's top of my list.
Yeah.
But this week, there isn't that many huge releases. So if it was a pair that I was possibly looking to pick up, it would be good.
Yeah.
I think that, as I said, if it was in a cool gray, I would 100% be picking up a pair of 14s. Maybe if it is in one of the more brighter or a collaboration, I would. But this colorway is definitely a want, not a need. And in this climate, I just don't think I'll be able to get it.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you. This was a little bit of a slow week, but thank you so much again to the Kingsland Shoe Project for sponsoring, and that is the Fresh Flow release of the week.
Subscribe down there.
We're going to move on a little bit here to chat about some of James's pickups. I spoke about my pickup, my main one, which is the obviously Jordan 1 Union Fragment collab. I wanted to hear from James about some of his pickups, because he has been a little bit of a busy boy. You've got the, just to name a few, the Unheard Of Addy Star Control. Let's go. Releasing on the 28th.
These are currently 1 of 10.
Yes.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. They are 28th of March. They're coming to the Unheard Of website. There's also 2 different colorways as well, pink and a yellow. Those ones are really awesome. But what do you think about them?
Honestly, I was kind of blown away when I got this shoe. So I met Phil in Paris. He's been a good friend of mine for a while now, and I must admit, like, as people go in the industry, top 10, I've never met anyone as sweet as Phil. Like, he just looked after me in so many ways, and obviously being out in the US, it's kind of difficult for us to converse and to kind of be part of the conversation. But sometimes I'll just hit him up and we'll chat and chew the fat, and he's just like a super, super approachable guy who's like in the industry, which I think is really rare, because there's a lot of people who they're getting hit up all the time. Everyone's always asking them for favors. Like he always has time for me, and I think like again that it's just having that kind of relationship is really really precious to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, met him in Paris. We went to his hotel. We were chatting in the lobby with Ad Sneaks, just the three of us. They were the first people I met in Paris. Like I literally went to Paris and went straight to go see them because I was so excited to like go catch up with them.
Yeah.
And then I was promptly gifted this shoe, which again, it was a massive moment for me. Like I wouldn't say Urban Sync is the biggest publication. Obviously, like we're in our own lane, we're doing our own thing, and I'm super proud of where we've got to. But to be recognized, for him to obviously give us like 1 to 10 samples, and then the sample box, which I do have somewhere. Oh, the sample box here, like even down to the fact that like it's got the piggy on.
Yeah.
This is unheard of in French, and then it's a sample on the side. But I just think it's super cool, man. I was just super, super grateful for the fact that like I was kind of involved in the conversation, did a little bit of the rollout, and like again, just knowing the story behind it. Obviously, like that's Phil's on kind of like tell, but like just I don't know, man. It's just really special for me to be part of something which is almost bigger than myself. Like he's based in the US. It's obviously his personal story. I interviewed him for Urban Syndicate like a year ago now. And we spent like 2.5 hours just chatting. So like only about an hour of the interview actually came out. An hour and a half of it was just like going back about personal stories, talk about life and family and football and all sorts of random stuff. Like he's a massive Cincinnati FC fan, which again, soccer in America. Like it's just kind of interesting to hear his perspectives on the sport. And I don't know. I'm just really, really grateful to be surrounded by such a lovely person. And then to obviously get the shoe, be first to kind of have it and talk about it and be able to snap necks around London because like nobody in London's got these. Like, it's just me. So, it's
nice.
yeah, man.
I'll definitely be picking up a pair in the future, and I will try. Those ones are releasing, I think, at 2 a.m. my time on the 28th, so it's going to be hard.
Set the alarm, man.
I'll set the alarm. My sleep's not, as I said before, sleep's still not great, so I might just be up anyway.
The baby wakes you up, you get the shoes, double win.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And I think this was the first pair that he released that had toddler sizes. So just a little bit of a sneaky peek there. So yeah, I still am yet to buy a pair of shoes. People do ask me that a lot, how many shoes I'm going to buy for my son, and I have not yet bought any, but that is definitely coming sooner rather than later. Were there any other pickups that you were kind of wanting to show off?
So these actually kind of tangential. I've used that word twice now. I definitely didn't say it right. Tangentially, like again, they're next to each other. The Adidas Control 5 Cranberry by Shake JJ Clicks in Milwaukee. Honestly, this is a shoe that when I saw, I was like, I have to have that. Like the detail is crazy. I'm actually kind of in love with the Control 5. The way that Adidas has activated it. I bumped into Declan Rice the other day by chance. Like I didn't know who he was.
The Arsenal footballer.
Yeah, and he was wearing a pair of Adidas Control 5s. I was like, oh, bro, I love your shoes. And we were just chatting about obviously his Adidas sponsorship, and I didn't know like that he played for England or played for Arsenal or whatever. But like just our mutual love of the Control 5 let us talk for 5-10 minutes.
There you go.
Then he was whisked away to do everything else. Like, but again, I just think it's really cool that like shoes are bringing us together, and like a shoe like this probably wouldn't have had its moment if it wasn't for the fact that like Nike's fallen off a little bit, and it's given Adidas this room to do like 2 dope collaborations. Like these are so different on the same silhouette. Like they're just crazy to think that like what the brands are able to do, especially these being American brands as well. Like these weren't available in the UK, these will be, but the original 2 weren't. So like we get them over here, kind of have that story, snap necks, and I just think it's really, really beautiful to kind of have. I wish I could tell the story around this shoe, but I actually haven't like read about it recently. But I know it's to do with cancer. So again, like I'm doing proper around it and like tell that story and like really doing. And I'm super grateful to Shake for giving me these. Else I interviewed last year, and we've been going back and forth and having conversations and stuff. And then when I met Phil in January, obviously these kind of came out, and we've moved that conversation forward. So
And Adidas
very grateful.
Adidas has been doing some, like you said, some really, really cool things, not only with the control there. The jellyfish was a pickup for me recently as well. I finally got a pair, the blue pair. You've had a pair for a while now, and you kind of had a bit of a, was Paris Fashion Week last year that they were kind of shown off? June, and now I've kind of, I've done a fair bit of content and wore them a lot. They're actually like super comfortable. Still, recovering, let's just say, from the expensive purchase, but I I feel like they're worth it, and definitely going to be one of my favorite pickups when it comes to the end of the year, because again, I'll be wearing them a lot because they cost a lot. So I'm going to get my use out of them for sure. Again, thank you so much to Kingsland Shoe Project for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. I really do appreciate them coming on as the first sponsor of the podcast. They create the Fresh Flow Shoe Trees, which come in two different sizes, the medium and large sizes. The medium is good for 6.5 to 9.5 in men's, and the large is good for roughly 10 to 13. And they've got them in black, they've got them in red, blue, lots of different colorways to suit all of your different sneakers. They can fit a lot of different types of sneakers, Jordans, New Balance, a ton of different styles, Adidas as well. And I really do appreciate them coming on. Go and check them out at the kingslandshoeproject.com. Let's get on with the episode.
Yeah, the jellyfish is an interesting. I met Pharrell in June. Obviously, I was actually the first person of the 50 because I got one of the 50 special boxes.
Yeah.
So I was the first person to get them. So I kind of like leaked it to the world, which was a cool moment. The shoe's cool. I've not worn it much. But again, I think it's one of those things where like, because it's so big, it kind of fits a certain aesthetic and a certain style. And I have like a very understated streetwear look. Like I'm not wearing like these bold outfits. So the orange colorway, like again, it matches a lot of stuff and it's easy to wear per se, but it's not something that I'm like instantly drawn to. Where I think something like this, which is it's still chunky, but it's not like super chunky, makes it a bit more easy to kind of rock on a day.
Yeah, and Adidas has also done some stuff as well with the Whitaker Group over there in the US. They're doing a release as well. They've again really been putting their foot down when it comes to the early part of 2026. So excited to see what else they've got coming up. Any other last pickups before we move on?
So I think this one's probably the one that's worth talking about the most. So this is the New Balance 574 Ghost Project. This is in. I'm pretty sure it's beige, but I was told it was gold. Whichever way, it's gold or something.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Moyen? Whichever colorway it is. This is the coolest and best colorway, and I just wanted to say that I really, like, even down to the fact that the suede's on the midsole. Yeah. Like it's got the super detail on the inside.
Yeah, all like, over suede, super nice.
Like £195, expensive. And I had to get them sourced because the store that I went to actually didn't have them, and they had to like call in a favor to like get me my size. Yeah. But like super limited, super cool. And I just think like again, this is out of all the shoes that they've done the gray, the black, and the navy. This like beige, gold, mauve, whatever they want to call it, is stuff. And I think again, the 574 is a super underrated silhouette. I think that it's one of those things where with the inside stitching, because if you notice, like there's no like outside stitching on it. Yeah. Like this shoe just screams premium. Yeah. And again, I don't think it's gonna be everyone's cup of tea. You got to get the badge in, as you know. Like, but I was just super excited to get this, and it was a favor from a friend that I've recently made. I think, I don't know, man. I'm just super happy to have it, and it's really weird to kind of explain that like not every shoe has to be like these super hype like collaborators. Like it's not a Travis Scott, it's not a Fragment or whatever it is. It's just a very cool, very well executed beige color shoe, and that's another color that I've just given it. But like, it's just sick, man. And I'm very excited to wear these. And they're dead stock at the minute, but I will be wearing them very soon. And I think there was two other pairs, so it was three total that released in different colorways. It was like a navy blue. I got these as well. And you've also got a couple other colorways, but the Stone Island ones, I just wanted to chat about those. Those did have a cool little release. So I do like what obviously Stone Island does, not only with New Balance, but other brands as well. And if they're price point wasn't so expensive, I'd probably buy more of their clothes, especially their tech wear. Really do like that stuff. But again, I don't think those are even coming to the New Balance website here in Australia. We did have a release, I think last year, 2024, they had a release on the 574. I did get one of those pairs, but yeah, I don't think we're getting any of these all suede beige pairs. So Stone Island's a brand that I've really kind of like dug into recently. And I think that again, even on my side, like it's definitely a brand that I've got a lot more appreciation for. The more people I meet, the more conversations I have around it. As a northerner, and not someone from the north of England at least, like Stone Island is a brand that I've had in my perception for a long time. Like it's known for football culture, even if they'd hate that, and it's known for like the great outdoors. Yeah. But I think like knowing about the way that their performance wear, their technical wear, the experimentation side of it, like the material development. Like the more I learn about that, the more excited I get, just because I understand like almost the layers to the brand. Like you kind of have the overall perception of like how you're exposed to it, but the closer you get, the more you understand, like the more there is to know. And I think that's the best thing about it. Like again, a shoe like this might be your entry to kind of discovering the brand, but it isn't until you discover like some of the really crazy experimental pieces that, like, even down to the dyeing methods, the technical specs and stuff, like really, really cool. So
Yeah.
I'm on the Stone Island train, but I'm very early onto it. There's a lot of me to learn.
Don't go kicking anyone's teeth in or taking anyone's money. So that's kind of what I feel when I see people wearing Stone Island. I'm like, a little bit of that kind of gang culture, but I think that's maybe the outsider looking in. I think you might have a different perspective on the inside.
It's weird because like that's how I was kind of associated with it. It's always known for like football culture, from like the ultras and that kind of side of it, especially in like Italy and stuff. So I've always seen it from the angle, and like the brand actually hates that from what I've heard. Like it's not, they obviously don't want to be associated with that, but I do think that, again, just being associated and being in the conversations, you kind of appreciate like how deep the love is, how deep the collections go, because like a lot of these people have been collecting for 20 years and they have like such a deep and intricate knowledge of the brand that, like, again, it really changes your perception once you start to go deep and like start to do some research.
Yeah. Nice. Well, we're going to move from not only the 3 stripes we've talked about, we've also talked about the New Balance pickups as well. There is one brand that we haven't really mentioned, which is Jordan brand. I know we talked about a little bit with Fragment, but one huge release that's coming in May, and we've seen some more promo images. We've seen Michael Jordan get his pair. We've seen Nigel Sylvester do a live on Instagram, basically promoting his shoe, which is the follow-up to the basically sneaker of the year, which a lot of people said was the Jordan 4 brick after brick, not brick by brick, brick after brick. So people got to try and get their minds around that. So basically,
it's a brick by brick.
It's brick after brick, and you've got basically, it's called the white and cinnabar colorway. So it's mainly white, a little bit of cream, but it's basically a take on the fire red 4s. You've got some different kind of materials on the back heel there. Obviously, you've got the embroidered bike air on the back as well. It's very clean. In my opinion, this is much more wearable than the pair that we saw last year. What do you think about, I suppose, this one compared to that one last year?
So the brick by brick was it felt like a PE without being a PE. So like between the box, the packaging, the little like plastic wrap with the blue elastic band around it, like I love that shoe just because it felt like a moment. And I really, like, when I opened that box, it didn't feel like a normal sneaker box. It felt like an experience.
Yeah.
If they can translate that into this shoe and they have a similar storytelling and they can really do it, again, I have no reason to believe that this wouldn't be another shoe of the year.
Yeah.
Like, Nigel Sylvester does seem to have the most amount of energy around him. Like, there's a lot of conversation around him just, like, being that next level talent, and the fact that he's getting so many collaborations is kind of leading to that. I do think it's less exciting than the brick by brick, which is kind of interesting because the brick by brick is a monotone red shoe, where this has got a bit more detail to it. But I have to see them in hand. I'm excited to obviously see them, and they're a pair that I'll probably go for. I like the switch up. The black is more like an anthracite, and the red is more of a maroon. But it's it's nothing to scream about. I'm not going to be like, oh my god, this is like revolutionary. They're not exactly like switching it up in a crazy way.
Yeah.
But I think that a good shoe collaboration executed well is actually just as important to the growth of the culture and kind of telling his story. You had the RM, and it's brick by brick, and I'm sure that this will continue to add to the roster of those stories that he's able to tell. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the rollout looks like, and no doubt he'll be in contention for shoe of the year no matter what he touches. So.
Yeah, and it's kind of coming in the I guess the prime of, you know, people kind of getting over the Easter period where they have to perhaps spend some money, and they had, you know, this release coming on May the 9th is the rumored release, or sometime in May. So I reckon people are going to be saving up some dollars to try and pick this one up wherever they do release. Again, you can check out the Urban Syndicate. I'm sure you're going to be reporting on this a little bit, and also you can check out multiple different sneaker, Instagram accounts. I'll try to be posting as much of this as possible when they release. And of course, if you're Australian listening to this, I'll try and be pretty specific about the Australian release. I feel like we kind of get left out sometimes, and so I'm trying to put more effort into making people in Australia aware of different releases that are happening within Australia, or releases that are available to ship to Australia, because that's not always the case. So excited for this one. Again, like I said, it's probably more wearable. You might disagree with that, but I think that people...
it's not this less wearable or more wearable. I think that the colorway is more iconic because obviously it's a relation to the fire reds.
Yeah.
I just think that like that's a shoe I could get out and just throw on with any fit. Whether
Yeah.
brick by brick, it's like harder to wear. My big thing is just a case of how well it looks in hand, because
Yeah.
it doesn't look too far away from the Fire Reds that released in like what 2021, 2020, maybe even later than that, 2022. I don't know. Like we've had them recently, so having another iteration on a shoe that's released recently is kind of a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But I do kind of get that. In his mindset, he's probably. I can only imagine that this is the next iteration of the story. Like you have the green pair was the fence, the grey pair was the gravel. Like the brick by brick is obviously his story of like building up towards his future. Like this is the Cinnabar. It has the bar line, which is reference to the bike. I don't know. I can only imagine that there's some kind of like angle here that he's obviously going for that we don't necessarily have the story to. And I think sometimes that is actually like a real bad side on our point. We're trying to almost judge a shoe before it's had the opportunity to really blossom into what it could be and like what their ideas around it. So yeah, I'm not passing judgment. I'll say that I like it and I think it is super wearable and it's cool. But Nigel, we need like a teaser video or something to come out soon so we can start to piece together the wider concepts around what he wants to do with it.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be a pretty big rollout. We've seen some, I guess, little unboxings. The box looks pretty similar, just in like a white kind of color. You've still got the plastic wrap with the blue. You know, it's following a theme, and I think that they've obviously really thought about this release, and hopefully it's available to more people. And I think that, you know, there is a fine line to have. Is it going to be mass produced? No. But is it going to be available for people who really, really want it? Probably. You know, obviously I don't know stock numbers at all, but what do you think about, I guess, how limited this release is going to be?
I honestly haven't heard much about stock numbers or whatever. I got the brick by bricks, and as I said, I was super excited and super happy to have them. And they're a pair that I've rocked 3 or 4 times and then just kept them on ice because I'm sure there'll be a summer in a year or two when no one else has them fresh, and I bust out my pair and they're just snapping necks left, right, and center, which is my favorite thing to do. But again, like that kind of makes this shoe a little special for me because I already have the other one. Like this is less of a need, so I do think that again, demand I don't think will be as high as a brick by brick. Although I might be wrong, and I'm just speculating here. I've not heard a lot of demand, but I've seen people talking about them, so it'll be cool. I said I hate to pass judgment so early on a shoe because I get stung on this quite a lot. Well, like I just give an opinion, and then like they're already 2-3 steps ahead in the rollout, and 6 months later, it's like, yo, I think this shoe's gonna be limited, or this shoe's gonna be this, and this shoe's gonna be that, and then you just find out that you're wrong. So I don't want to speculate too heavily. I'll just say that it's a cool execution on a cool shoe. I'm not as excited about it as I am on the brick by bricks.
Fair enough. I think I'm kind of excited. It's a good time of year to wear them. Like for me, if I do manage to get a pair, it'll be releasing kind of when it's starting to get a little bit cool, like kind of in winter for us in Australia. And I haven't worn Jordan 4s very often over summer, so actually barely at all because it's just so hot, so uncomfortable. I don't like wearing them with shorts. I kind of like wearing them with pants. It's a big bulky shoe. Kind of a slim kind of guy, and so I like wearing my Jordan 4s with pants, and that hasn't been able to happen.
I just don't think that they snap necks like the red pair, and that's my big barometer now of shoes. Like again, I like to have a shoe that like when you get it out, people are like, yo, where did you get those? Or like, yo, I need that. And I just think that that's not a. It's cool, but I don't think. The more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like,
yeah, fair enough.
I'm not gonna give it a rating, but I'll give it. It's okay.
Yeah. Speaking of snapping necks, the next shoe that we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about is the VAA Jordan 1 Alaska is what it's called. This one, man, I think we've seen a lot of promo images now and unboxings, and we've even had an interview with someone from the VAA, Virgil Abloh Archives, actual, consortium, so to speak, part of the family. And man, this looks pretty cool, and I'm actually pretty excited to see how this is going to be releasing. I hope that there's enough stock to kind of not make these incredibly limited. I think
this is going to be very hard to get.
I think there's going to be very hard. I think there's a lot of people who, I suppose, are going to be wanting these pairs early. There has been some talk about them.
I had a sample of this shoe in
Yeah.
hand maybe 3-4 months ago that I thought was fake. So I was given it. Well, I was shown it by somebody, and I put my opinions on Twitter. It actually went pretty viral with like the fact that obviously like I had someone else's image of the shoe, and I commented on like what I'd seen because it's got like the icy blue collar, and there's a couple of other details I saw that like were different to the original release. Because if you notice, like this shoe isn't an exact replica. Like even down to
No,
the
it's
age
not.
midsole, the yellow looks slightly darker
Yeah.
than the original one on the sample that I had in hand anyway. So I said like, I think it could be fake, but I don't know. But like now I've seen the release images and I've seen them around hand. They actually look pretty like accurate to the ones I saw a couple of months ago. As soon as I saw that shoe, I knew I needed it. Like again, I missed out on all the Off-White collection, other than the Dunks and the Air Max 90 when they first released. I wasn't a huge sneakerhead there. I started collecting in 2016, 2017 when like this was all popping off, and I was not deep into the culture like I am now. So for me, like this almost feels like going back to a moment that I really miss. Like I caught the tail end of the Virgil wave, and then I actually was at an event when Virgil died. So like we were at Crep City, London. It must have been 2020, 2021 when he died, and like everybody increased the prices on the day. Like everyone was like, "Oh, I'm not selling my shoes anymore." Like it was just such a like. I really had like these kind of like Virgil moments throughout my life where I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not gonna pretend like I ever met him or anything, but I do think like he was so consequential in the culture that now that this is releasing, like I just have to have this shoe.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's definitely, again, I kind of feel a similar way where I wasn't quite into it as much as you were, I suppose, or other people were around that time when it was kind of the 10 and, 2017, 2018, kind of that kind of time. This definitely does feel like reconnecting and I feel like this is going to bring back a lot of memories for a lot of people. And, there was the interview earlier on with Joe LaPuma, who basically was trying to be very polite with some of his line of questioning and kind of left a lot of things open for interpretation. And I think that one of the main takeaways was that people do miss Virgil Abloh and kind of his design. I think a lot of people want a piece of this, and I hope, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope that people don't resell these for a ton and actually wear them.
They're gonna resell. Like, that's
like,
just part of the game.
It is.
There's a couple of different angles on this. Off-White has really fallen off. Like
Yes.
it just really like I actually put this on my story the other day. I was like, Off-White has one home run to 10. Like
Yeah.
I can't remember the word. Like for 10 strikes. Like
Yeah.
they have like 10 terrible collabs. They did a really sick collab with Brigade, and they've done this really cool one with Kid Cudi that's coming out. But it's like Off-White, because it's owned by this huge like an investment firm.
Yeah.
It's just not got its identity anymore. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they've taken the Virgil Abloh archive and able to kind of like silhouettes, work on the shoes that he's obviously associated with.
Yeah.
Without being able to like go through Off-White and have them kind of like change. And because again, like even the stuff that they were doing towards the end where they did those Air Force One kids, they were not exactly marketed or positioned the way I think Virgil would have positioned them. So
Yeah.
I do think that like it was good to take that away and kind of do this. I think on the other side, like everyone's asking these questions of like why or where or how and all this stuff. I don't think we'll ever get the real answer. Like we've had some, and I saw the interview, we got placated with some answers around like this was the first shoe that he worked on and a few other bits. But I have a feeling that this isn't the first or last VAA shoe we're gonna get.
I don't think so.
So like, so that kind of answers the question to the audience and kind of tells people what they want to hear. But I don't really believe that it's the full answer, if that makes sense. I don't think that, because I think that's a superficial like, yo, please stop asking questions. But the real, like, if you go down the crux of it as to like why the shoe's actually releasing, I think that there's some really nasty answers that we're not going to be privy to.
And of course, Joe LaPuma and Marfaz Sultan in that interview are not going to tell you everything. It's kind of obviously a PR kind of opinion. And Mr. Sneaker Den had some questions for this on Instagram. I don't know. He's obviously got a lot of bias. Like Sneaker Den, if people don't know, is kind of an art curator in terms of sneakers. He kind of curates sneakers and buying and selling and all that. And I think that people who have old pairs of the Euro, which is basically what this shoe is based on, probably going to take a hit on the price of those. I know that they're kind of different, but these look so similar that people are going to buy these and kind of perhaps sell their other pairs. Something like that. There are going to be people who think about that. What did you think about his, I guess, take on the whole situation?
I agree with him in the most part. And I really do like Sneak It In. I just think that like the questions aren't going to get the answers that I would like. I don't think that we're ever going to have the situation where they're going to tell us like, oh, it's actually because it's just financial, or it's down to the fact that like we need to re-energize the Jordan 1 and this is the easiest way to do it. Or it's a case of like, yo, this colorway only got a Euro release and now we're going to give it a worldwide release, so that because that was actually the plan all along. I don't know, like there's definitely other conversations and that we won't be privy to the actual answers as to why this happens. This was the first shoe. It's a neat little story to it, but I don't think it really encapsulates everything that is. I don't think it encapsulates all the aspects and facets of what it is. And like, again, maybe that is just the marketing on top. If that makes sense. This is the shoe does the talking, and then that's just a sprinkle to keep everybody quiet. So.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I think that there's going to be, more of a release. Like you said, the last one was only available in Europe. This one we'll see more of a worldwide release, but again, it will be very limited. And again, check out some of our Instagram channels if you want to get more up to date with some of the info around the release. Definitely going to try and get people up to speed with this, whether or not you can even buy it from any of the local stores here in Australia, or if you're going to have to try and finesse someone for a resale pair. So there's going to be...
I know the Tier Zero is getting them, and obviously they have the VAA Expo, so there's going to be an expo where people are able to... There's one in London. I don't know if there's one... I don't think there's one in Australia.
No.
Where you're able to actually experience the VAA archive, and they're going to do some panel talks and be able to almost get the Off-White experience or the Virgil experience. Will give you access to the shoe, but they are going to be at Tier Zeros as well. So they're and all the retailers in the UK, at least like Patter, Offspring, and Foot Patrol, they'll definitely get them. End as well. So we're gonna have four retailers at least.
No, it'll be exciting. And I think they're going to be releasing on April the 3rd on his own website, on Virgil's website, and we'll see if that kind of lines up with a little bit more of the other releases worldwide. But again, check out some of those channels.
I think it's March the 28th for the in-store.
All right, so in-store March 28th, and then perhaps April 3rd for the online releases.
Yeah, but don't quote me on that. These things change.
It definitely does change, and we will be, I guess, posting about them and be a little bit fluid with some of those releases. But thank you so much for your time there, James. I really do appreciate it. I know the time difference is crazy. It's late night here for me. It's early morning for you. I really do appreciate your time, and I do appreciate everybody for watching. If you've made it this far, I mean, you're a real one, because you're listening to me and James just chat about sneakers, which we both love to do. And if you love listening to this, really do appreciate it.
I'm sure we could do it for another hour.
We definitely could, but I have a screaming baby waiting for my attention. But if you
time zones don't allow.
If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do that. We definitely have seen an uptick of subscribers in the last little bit, doing a bunch of reviews on the channel as well. You can go follow James at all of the social media links you can see in the description as well. Thank you so much to everybody for watching, and we will see you again soon. Thank you so much. Have a good day.